Holy moly. Woo. That's my statement. Woo. Man, I'm the message I had in the locker room what to the players was, number one, don't hang your head or anything. We won the game. We're 1-0, and that's something that we couldn't do last year when we went to Wyoming. We were in double overtime, and we couldn't find a way to win the game. And never thought we would be where we were at, but that's where we were, and we found a way to win the game. And then the other thing, we talk about it all the time whenever we get to film the next day. It's kind of Tell the Truth Sunday. We've got a lot of things that we have to fix to get better, and we got to do them in a hurry because we're going to play a really good Washington State team. But at the end of the day, we're 1-0, and the one thing I definitely don't want them to do is hang their head for finding a way to win the game. And so with that, I will open up for questions.
Hey, Coach, I know this isn't what you were expecting from the defense.
Yeah.
And specifically with the secondary, was that mix-ups in coverage, the scheme that ACU is doing, a little bit of both, or what happened from your perspective?
Honestly, you could check off everything that could go wrong in the back end at different times did, number one, I talked to their offense coordinator afterwards. I thought he did a great job. He comes from a great tree. They call it, we've talked about it as Air Raid 2.0, and I thought he did a great job. They got some really good skill players. We know some of them, and, those guys made some big plays. But it was a mixture, it was a mixture of those guys making plays. It was a mixture of, I think, 4 of the 5 guys that we started tonight in the secondary, that was their first college start. I know the 2 corners, it was their first college start. I was really proud of Jalen Peoples because, really up until probably about 1 o'clock today, we thought that we would be able to get Lux going, but we couldn't. So Jalen, that was his first start. AJ, that was his first start for us, and might be his first college start. The only guy back there was CJ, and we definitely have got to improve in a hurry in the secondary, especially with the team that we're about to play. And then, really the next week playing UNT. But it really was as a mixture of there was a couple of times that we had good calls and we didn't communicate. I thought really early in the game that was the deal. And then there was different times we were on our heels, They put a lot of pressure on us. And the tough thing is we got no pressure, but it was hard to get pressure because that ball was coming out. I asked Blanche to give it to me in the morning, but how fast, from the time the ball was snapped, where the quarterback was letting the ball go, of how fast he was getting it out, because we couldn't get any pressure, and we really tried everything.
Can I ask one more?
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Hey, thank you, Coach. We talked about so much in the offseason, obviously put up a lot of points. How do you feel like the offensive line played, though, overall?
There was on that side, my frustration, and we've talked about this, where we've got to improve, is we had 4 pre-snap penalties, maybe 5. And, we were stopped 2 times on 4th down, and I believe on both those drives we're off of pre-snap penalties that put us, instead of being in 2nd and 4, we were like 2nd and 9, something like that, but we had 4 or 5 of them. And that's, where we've got to get better. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you look, we gave up a sack, which you never want to do. Taj rushed for 157. I think there was some good things in the offensive line, but the pre-snap penalties, I mean, that killed us. And that's the thing that we've got to fix. We talked a lot about it, and we've got ways to do it. We just got to go to work at it.
Coach, you kind of touched on it, but with the pass rush and the quick, seemed like they were getting the ball out really, really quick. But I guess how big of a difference was it, do you think, just your guys getting pressure tonight? Just do you think it was lack of execution or just not having the opportunity to do so?
I think it was I think a lot of it was a lack of execution. I think there was different times, like when you think that you should be in press and you're playing off, now the ball comes, there's no cloudiness, like pass rush, if the ball's coming out that fast, we never made him, like do anything other than almost go to a second and third read at different times. And I really think like early in the game we were playing pretty decent, and then we just really got back on our heels. They got the momentum, and they did some really good things, offensively. But we've got to find a way. I mean, I think we're missing, and he's going to be out for another couple of weeks, but we're missing Charles Esters right now. If you go back, I mean, if you think about the defense, that was Harvey Dyson's first start. That was Amir Washington's first start. So again, there was probably 6 or 7 guys on defense that was their first college start. We'll get better. We will.
That was really impressive what Josh Kelly was able to do. Obviously, the big touchdown is the highlight, but it seemed like he was really, really close to breaking one off, and it seemed like one more tackle that he could have broken, and it was to the house. So I guess just the dynamic ability you have on the perimeter, I guess, kind of showed tonight. And do you feel that was the case?
Yeah, I thought, all 3 of the receivers, they're our main receivers. I mean, Josh Kelly had 10 catches for 156 yards. Coy Aiken had 5 for 76, 2 touchdowns. Jalen had 5 for 63. Caleb, had a big touchdown right there at the end for 42. I think those guys have a chance to be really special. And Josh Kelly is the guy that gets everything going. I mean, Barron will tell you, man, anytime we need kind of a spark, number 3's that spark. I thought 12 did a good job being that spark tonight too. But that's what we expect out of Josh Kelly. He's a dynamic receiver, and I think as we continue in this offense that they're all going to get better.
Coach, just to follow up on the receiving group, Micah Hudson didn't play very much tonight. Was that a coaching decision or?
It was kind of one of those deals that those 3 guys were playing really, really well, and then you get in a game like that, and you're kind of like, hey, make sure you got your old guys in, guys that are not the game's not bigger than what they've played in. Same thing on the defensive side of the ball. There were some guys that probably didn't play as many snaps in certain spots that we wanted to get snaps in, but you had to ride with. It's like at linebacker. I mean, Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts probably played a few more snaps than what we thought. And even when they were rotating in, I was like, hey, make sure you have your best guys in, And so I think a lot of it has to do with that.
Thoughts on the overtime and their decision to go for 2, and what was kind of going through your game plan there?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great decision. I mean, you're sitting there, you're a dog, and you're on the road, and if you said before the game started, hey, you're going to have 1 play to win the game, you probably roll with it. They go empty. We felt they were going to go quarterback draw or throw screen to the 4 receivers. So we played the numbers on that side. So we felt like we could force the quarterback draw, and came up and made a big tackle.
Coach, it seemed like the offensive line did pretty well in pass pro. Looked like Barron had quite a bit of time to throw. Just what do you think about just his processing and just kind of what he was able to do with his progressions tonight?
Yeah, I was really proud of Barron because there was times that he threw it away. There was times that, at different times he didn't try to escape too early. He stepped up, delivered the ball. I mean, you look at his night, man, he had a good night. I mean, had 42 attempts, 30 completions, 378 yards, 5 touchdowns. I imagine he would take that every single week. I would take that every single week. But I thought his processing and his control of the offense was really good. I was really proud of him.
And just going into tonight, I guess, how did you try to divvy up the snaps in the series between that right side of the offensive line, and just what's your assessment of how those guys did overall?
I thought we had a good plan, and then we kind of right there coming out of the second half, DC kind of got a little banged up. He could have come back in, but again, being in the game that we were in, we didn't want anybody out there that wasn't full speed, ready to go. But I thought they did a good job. I mean, our plan was the 3rd series, which we did. 3rd series, Ty go in at tackle and Caleb go in at guard, and then just kind of see how it went.
Coach,
Can you give us a little bit behind the scenes of what those conversations are going to look like either tonight or tomorrow with Tim DeRuyter, your coaching staff, even just the defense as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing we have got to, how our day works tomorrow is everybody's got to have the film graded and grades on my desk by noon. The players come in. They've got a mandatory med check if they played in the game, just to double check that, they didn't wake up with something that, they walked out of here feeling fine. Sometimes that happens. And then I'll meet with each side of the ball, special teams, and then each side of the ball. We just got to really go through and see where the busts were, where their guys making plays, because some of it was those guys making plays. I mean, at the end of the day, we can all go back and remember Trey Cleveland making big plays against Texas and that win. DMI Martinez was huge in the win in overtime against Houston, if you go back and you think about that game. So, I mean, they've got some good players, The biggest thing is, though, we've got to figure out what do we do well, have an identity in the secondary, and then also look at, how can we get a little bit more pressure? Because, I haven't watched them with this new quarterback. I mean, he played a little bit last year, but Washington State's going to do the same thing. I mean, they do a great job. I mean, they're very similar to what we're going to see. They're going to get the ball out quick, and so we've got to do a better job. And, hopefully we feel like we'll have Lux back, so that gives us, somebody else in there that now we can do some different things with Jalen. Especially, I thought Jalen, besides he got caught on an out and up in the fourth quarter, but other than that, man, I thought he played really well.
It seems like a couple times tonight, especially early on when ACU would score and they would seem to kind of grab a little bit of that momentum. Dre McCray would have a big return. Obviously started to kick away from him, and they learn and adapt. But just take us through the opportunity on special teams to be able to set you guys up in great field position several times tonight.
Yeah, Dre's special, man. I was a little surprised early that they kicked it to him. It was frustrating on that first long one that we come out with a field goal, instead of scoring. That was frustrating. If you go back, you got to score a touchdown there after that big return. But he's a weapon, and the last return where they kicked it to Cam Dickey, I mean, he was one step away from a big return. We had it blocked up. We just, couldn't get all the way out. But, I think that's one thing that last year, I mean, Dre led the nation in kickoff returns. We got a chance to do it again. We got a really good kickoff return group. And the good thing is our off returner is a good kick returner, and Jordan Brown. We can do different stuff, with people that want to sky kick. That was what we did with Cam Dickey whenever we put him in the tight end position. But Dre affected the game in a big way.
Coach, you talked about miscommunication. Was it miscommunication getting the signal to the players with the helmets, or was it a miscommunication by the players?
No, it wasn't miscommunication signals. It was more just them all being on the same page. I think I wished I could go through and look at the score and tell you, but there was a point I felt like we were playing really well, but there was some stuff that we weren't communicating. So, that when you're looking in the secondary and you're doing different things, there's different calls or checks that they can make with each other, and I thought whenever they grabbed some momentum in the third quarter, everybody wasn't on the same page, and so then we tried to simplify it a little bit, play a little bit more man. They started throwing it to the back a little bit more, picking on our linebackers, and again, they had a good plan of whatever we went to, they had something to go to.
What was the thoughts on the 4th and 6, not going for it, but yet going for it, 4th and longer?
Yeah, it just goes back to analytics. 4th and 6, it wasn't a go, and the long one was a go where we were at, and felt like that we had a good play, and I think that was the one that the ball got tipped, I think. Or, I think there was one, it was either a Kelly that we had a speed out, but that wasn't the 4th and long. But it just goes back to the numbers.
Coach, we talked about a bit of the negatives tonight, playing a team like ACU, but there also were some positives on that defense. Just go ahead and touch on some of the positives you saw out of that, the guys making their first starts tonight.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, they came up and made a play to win the game, you know, so that's a positive. And they will grow. I mean, those guys, like, I walked in the locker room and, you know, especially the defensive guys kind of had their head down. And, you know, I was like, guys, don't, first of all, you never, ever, I don't care what it is, you honor a win, period. I mean, at the end of the day, it's hard to win. Am I frustrated? I am. I mean, I'm extremely frustrated. You know, I did not expect to be in a game like that, but I was, you know, when we were. And we found a way to win the game. But the positives were they did not quit at any point. They kept playing. The positives were that I think they're going to come in tomorrow and really hold each other accountable, and we're going to hold the coaches, everybody accountable to get better. They're willing to get better. You know, there was never at any point, Jacob can tell you, of any of those defensive guys. I've been on teams and been in games like that to where the defense starts pointing fingers at each other, and, you know, they start getting pissed off at each other. And you know, there was at no point that those guys were, you know, pointing fingers at each other. It was we're all in it together, and we got to get better. But there was some good things. You know, anytime that you can get a start and grow from it, we'll be better next week.
Joey, Jaden Cofield late in the game had the costly roughing the passer penalty.
Yeah.
And he winds up being the guy that makes the play to seal the game. What did you see from him after he got flagged for roughing the passer?
He was, I mean, again, it was one of those deals that he owned it, and but we had to get him back in. I mean, he was playing. He had a couple of really big plays for us tonight. You know, we had a tackle for a loss. You know, he had, and that was tough. I mean, that if you go back and you look at that play, it was roughing the passer, but the reason it was roughing the passer is because it was below his knees, and you know, it was not a lot of contact, but the quarterback went down, and so you just got to play the next play, man. He knows. All of our guys know, man. You can't. You got to get to what's next. Like, that one play can't be the play that holds you back from getting to the next play. We talk about it all the time, and I was glad that he didn't hold his head down after that penalty and came up and make a big play for us.
And regarding Barron, considering he throws for 5 touchdowns, 378 tonight, what was maybe the thing about him that you're most pleased to see?
You know, I think he got the ball out on time, and he limited the times that he got hit. You know, a lot of it is, or not a lot of it, you know, a lot of it is the offensive line, but some of it's the quarterback too, you know. And it was funny. He can tell you he's going to come up here, but the first time he ran, you know, and slid and made sure he was on his left side instead of his right side, all that good stuff that we've been talking about for a full year. I asked him, I said, how'd it feel getting hit? And he's like, oh, Coach, we're ready to go, man. I feel great, you know. And I just thought that his timing with getting the ball out was really big. I thought he did some really good things. I thought he checked us in some good runs whenever we needed to. And then, man, he made some big throws. That last throw to CD was a big-time throw. All right, thanks, Coach. All right, thank y'all.
Barron, obviously quite a fight, but you guys get on the right foot. Obviously tough game. You played pretty well. Just walk me through what it's like to be in a battle like that in game one, but come out on top.
Yeah, I thought it was really good that, we responded, the whole game we did. Defense too. It wasn't just the offense, but, at the end of the day, we put up some good numbers, but, we got a lot of things to clean up. There's a lot of guys that haven't played in this offense yet, and so to get, Josh and CD and all those guys up front too, to play an actual game. We're playing against the defense, and it's a little different, our defense, but to get to play against someone else, we're good things to clean up. I'm proud of the way, we fought back at the end and ended up with the victory.
Jacob, what was your assessment of the defense's overall performance? Obviously, not the way you guys would like to play it, but you guys get the key stop at the final play and win the game.
Yeah, I thought we kind of bowed our necks at the end. Hats off to them. They gave us tough looks all night when they caught us in calls and checked the right plays and that type of stuff, and so it's hard to play defense like that. But really proud of our guys flying around. I feel like especially early we got a jump on them and played hard, and like Coach was saying earlier, we really didn't give up. I mean, it's hard. I mean, 500 passing yards is really good, and so giving that up is really tough on a defense. And I think that we had a lot of young guys step up, and in the first call at start, I thought they did a good job.
Josh, talk to us about that you were always just one step, one broken tackle from breaking one loose. How does it feel after this, knowing that you still have room to improve, but yet you could be going on and on and on?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a good thing that I still have a lot to improve. The biggest thing for me today was just, focusing on the details. Our false started today, and that's something that we preach a lot in our, in our room, is watching the ball. So, Juice got on me a little bit about it, but like things like that, that can manipulate the game just a little bit. Just working on those details.
How easy was it to be on the same path with Barron during the game today?
I mean, it's real easy, especially when it's something that you work on a lot, during the summer, during the fall. I mean, we obviously didn't have much of a spring with B, but, our main focus when he came back was, getting that connection with all the receivers. And I think he has a great connection with each and every one of us. And him and Kit put us in a great position, be successful. So I think it was a big jump, to be on connection with B.
Barron, you talked about how adding a bunch of weapons to this offense has really kind of been good. And, of course, over the offseason, we added tight end Jalen Conyers, Josh Kelly, Caleb Douglas, and Micah Hudson. How does that elevate your game to a higher level?
Yeah, I think it elevates my game, but not just me, but just the whole offense. We can, rely on 2-8 in the backfield when we need to, but we can also rely on our receivers to make plays. And, I mean, tonight, all the receivers had, 4 guys had touchdown passes that they caught, and Coy had 2. So it's just like you can have that versatility of, having Taj running downhill, but then also to be able, to drop back and, go through progression. So I think, just having that mindset of, ATFA, every single day, and I think, that's got to be the mentality moving forward.
And then one final thing for Josh. So you transferred from Washington State. How has that been for you in your time in Lubbock and getting used to the offense and getting used to a whole new coaching staff and player personnel?
I think it's been good. They run, sort of a similar offense. They both, both coordinators came from Western Kentucky together. So, me being able to jump into this offense, it wasn't much, of a difference. But, when you have a different quarterback and things of that such, it could be a little difficult, especially if you're not on time. So that was really my main focus, like I was telling him, was just, getting on track with, the quarterback, things of that sort.
Josh, you kind of talked a little bit already about just being like one broken tackle away from breaking one downfield. You get the 35-yard post off the flea flicker. Just how satisfying was that?
I mean, it's real satisfying. When it comes to breaking tackles and things of that, I make it my mission and my goal, not to be tackled, by the first guy. So, when I do break a tackle, it springs a little bit more extra yardage. I wish I kind of broke one down the sideline, but, I ran out of bounds. But, that's kind of my main, goal. And the flea flicker, man, just to score my first one in, in Jones AT&T felt good. I mean, I got a lot of love from the guys, and, just celebrate, just continue to do that.
Barron, I asked Coach McGuire just about the pass protection tonight, and you were able to get through your reads and your progressions. Just what's your own self-assessment of how you were able to get through those reads, and just kind of what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was really good all night. The pass pro was great. Even with rotating guys in and out, You know, it wasn't just 5 guys that played O-line tonight. We had probably 7 or 8 guys that played O-line. You know, to have that depth, you know, it's going to be really help us to be successful through the year. You know, we can, you know, rotate guys in, but obviously, you know, we want to keep those guys healthy. So it was really nice having a clean pocket, and I feel good.
Jacob, Coach mentioned the fact that you guys had like 6, 7 guys making their first start. How tough is that on you, getting all the calls in and everything?
It's difficult, but I mean, it's just like every first game. There's always going to be hiccups everywhere, and I think those guys that played really stepped up. I think communication was smooth at times and rocky at points, and I mean, that happens in and out of a game. And so when momentum changes and everything like that, we got to be able to communicate effectively. And I think the guys that were in there did a good job, but we can always improve on that.
You talk about that final 2-point conversion as well.
Yeah, that was a tricky situation. We knew that they were going to try some type of no-back formation. We got caught in a call, checked to it, called a timeout, and then changed the call. They stayed in the same formation, and so we kind of knew sort of what to expect. Luckily, we chopped up the front and kind of got after the quarterback. But matching those routes is tough down on the goal line.
And for a couple of you, whoever wants to take it, what was Coach's message in the locker room after that?
Yeah, I mean, you know how we started off the season last year. You know, the gut feeling that you had last year in that locker room in Wyoming, you know, we were not going to feel that today. And, you know, defense came up and made a good play. Coach McGuire, you know, has that mindset. You know, it's a 24-hour rule. We won the game, so let's celebrate. You know, we're 1-0. We're moving on to week 2. We're going to Washington State. We're 1-0. You know, we're not 0-1. So Coach McGuire is just preaching to us, you know, we're 1-0. You know, we're going to learn from this film. We're going to correct it. In week 2, we're going to go 2-0. So, you know, you just got to have that mindset of going 1-0 each week, and Coach was preaching that after the game.
All right, we'll end with Don.
Baron, you targeted Josh 15 times, and he caught 10. He catches 10 for 156. Is that more? Is that a reflection of kind of what y'all were getting, what y'all were seeing, or is that a reflection of just all the chemistry y'all have built in the last 6 months?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a little both. You know, they left the middle of the field pretty open, so we could target that middle of the field. Obviously, with the flea flicker, some of the RPOs that we hit over the middle too, certain things like that. But again, it goes back to the chemistry that we have too. You know, it's not just with Josh. I mean, obviously, Coy Eakin had 2 touchdowns today. You know, Jalen Conyers played great, and Caleb Douglas. You know, all those guys. You know, those are new guys besides Coy, and so to have that chemistry, you know, with the whole entire group is really special.
Josh, going back to Pullman next week, what do you expect? What do you expect there?
I expect them to be hungry. You know, us coming in, us being that Power 4 school, they're gonna have a chip on their shoulder. And you know, in terms for me personally, I mean, I got a lot of friends out there. You know, still good with a couple of the coaches. So, you know, my main objective is, you know, just stay focused. You know, don't let, you know, the outside of, you know, football reflect what's on the field. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still got to play this game at the end of the day, and you know, and our goal is to come out victorious. So.
All right, well, we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys.
Thank you.